Hello and welcome to B-Star Network. My name is Selma Stinson.
And I'm Kevin Edwards.
And this week we'll talk about the influence of African Americans in the military, government, and education. First, let's start with John Lewis, a name that most in Atlanta are familiar with as a politician currently serving as the U.S. Representative for Georgia's 5th Congressional District.
Wow.
A position he has held since 1987. Many of us may know how he has influenced U.S. history.
Wow. Lewis was the youngest of the Big Six civil rights leaders. That included Martin Luther King Jr. from 1963 to 1966. He served as chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, known as the SNCC. His introduction to the civil rights activism. Lewis was one of 13 original freedom riders, civil rights activists who rode interstate buses into segregated southern states from Washington, D.C. While chairman of the SNCC, Lewis helped to organize and spoke at the March of Washington, the occasion of Dr. King's celebrated I Have a Dream speech. After his unsuccessful bid for Congress in 1977, Lewis accepted a position under President Carter's administration in 1981. He was elected to the Atlanta City Council. Lewis has served as Chief Deputy Whip and Senior Chief Deputy Whip in the Democratic Caucus since 2003. To this day, Lewis still plays a vital role in our government.
Absolutely. And so next, let's learn about an exceptional career of Captain Gale Harris.
Oh, yes.
With years of service that spanned over 28 years in the Navy, Captain Gale Harris built a unique professional career that included groundbreaking advancements for women and African Americans in the military. Captain Harris has a lengthy and rewarding Navy history that exceeded expectations in every position, such as
back in 1973, Captain Harris was hand-selected to serve as the first woman in the naval history as an intelligence officer in a Navy aviation squadron. In 1979, she was the first female African American instructor at the Armed Forces Air Intelligence Training Center located in Lowry Air Force Base.
And she served as the first female ambassador in support of over 300 Allied force targets in Kosovo. In 1989, she was the first female and African American to lead the largest Navy aviation squadron in Spain. She was selected as Department of Defense lead for innovation, policy and strategy for addressing the emerging issue of computer network defense. Her advice was adopted across over 30 government agencies.
Wow, impressive.
And before she retired in 2001, Captain Harris was the highest ranking African American female in the United States Navy.
And history is a good teacher. History teaches that grave threats to liberty often come in times of urgency, when constitutional rights seems too extravagant to endure. This was a quote by Thurgood Marshall, one of the most influential civil rights crusaders in the 20th century.
Yes.
After graduating from Lincoln University with honors in 1930, he applied to the University of Maryland Law School, my alma mater.
All right.
Despite being overqualified academically, Marshall was rejected because of his race. This first-hand experience with discrimination in education made a lasting impression and provided the foundation that would ultimately determine his path.
All right. And in 1934, while working for the Baltimore branch of the NAACP, Marshall worked on one of his first cases defending a well-qualified undergraduate who, like himself, was denied entrance to the University of Maryland Law School. In 1936, Marshall won the case that ruled against segregation at the University of Maryland Law School.
Over the following decades, Marshall argued and won a variety of cases to strike down many forms of legalized discrimination, helping to inspire American civil rights movement. His greatest achievement was his victory in the landmark case in 1954 Supreme Court case Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka.
Absolutely.
This victory declared racial segregation in United States public schools as unconstitutional and paved the way for integration. In 1967, President Johnson nominated him as a U.S. Supreme Court judge, making him the first African American to serve on the nation's highest court. He remained there for 24 years and eventually retired at the age of 82. Thurgood Marshall died on January 24th, 1993.
All right. Great facts, Kevin. I hope that you have enjoyed this presentation. Signing off and see you next week.
Have a good one.